Fire extinguishers and extinguishing materials have been around a long time. You've seen them everywhere. They're very useful and have saved many lives. But not everyone understands them or knows how to use them. If you were experiencing a flammable liquid fire, what type of extinguisher would be necessary to extinguish the fire? Water? Would you use an ABC type extinguisher or an ABCD type extinguisher? That's the subject for today's training program, understanding more about extinguishers and how they work. We cannot possibly cover all aspects of extinguishing agents and fire prevention in this short program, but the information will help you become more familiar with extinguishers, fire prevention, and a better understanding of emergency action in the event of a fire. The objective of the training is to save lives and property in that order. Always remember that life safety is much more important than property. If you can't extinguish a fire safely, call the fire department and let them handle the situation. In the event of a small fire, call the fire department anyway, because small fires can quickly get out of hand and seconds count in the firefighting business. Fire extinguishers are not designed to fight a large or spreading fire, and even against small fires, extinguishers are useful only under the right conditions. We know that everyone takes fire extinguishers for granted because they aren't used on a frequent basis. They're just hanging around while you're busy at your job. You don't pay much attention to them because you know they'll be there in case of an emergency. Well, there's more to it than just that. First of all, extinguishers must be inspected at least monthly. Be sure to retain these inspection records in your files. Inspect extinguishers to make sure they're clean and in serviceable condition. The pin is sealed on the handle to indicate it hasn't been used, and of course to check the correct pressure, if your extinguisher has a pressure gauge. Remember that once an extinguisher has been used, if only for a second, it must be completely serviced and recharged. Extinguishers get damaged and may not work when the need arises, so check for visible damage to the container and the handle. You're also checking to make sure the extinguisher is located in its proper place. In the event an extinguisher is used or found to be defective, most organizations have extra extinguishers to replace the damaged or defective extinguisher while it's being repaired or serviced. Inspect all extinguishers at least monthly. Once a year, fire extinguishers must be inspected and serviced by an authorized service company. After the extinguishers have been inspected and serviced, the servicing company will issue a service tag. This tag is good for 1 year. During your monthly inspections, check those service tags to make sure the tag is on the extinguisher and is current. If the tag is over a year old, it needs to be reserviced. Fire extinguishers come in all shapes and sizes, but you're probably most familiar with the red extinguishers. Many years ago, fire extinguishers looked like this. Actually, it was a bottle of water that was thrown at the fire. The bottle broke and hopefully cooled the fire. Later evolved a water and acid solution extinguisher. This type of extinguisher was activated by turning the extinguisher upside down, and the acid reacted with the water to build pressure and expel the extinguishing agent. We don't use these anymore because they're old, and when activated, they have a tendency to explode when pressurized. If you have any of these types of extinguishers, don't use them, as they could be very dangerous when used. Today, we have a variety of extinguishers, each designed to fight different types of fires. Most are pressurized with an inert gas that expels the extinguishing agent, such as dry chemical, carbon dioxide, foam, water mists, or other agents. We use the word pass to help you remember how to use an extinguisher. Pull the pin. Aim the nozzle. Squeeze the handle and sweep from side to side. Pass. Remember, we said these extinguishers were pressurized. This means you need to hold the extinguisher firmly, as the force of the expelled gas can be fairly strong, so hang on to the extinguisher if you're going to pull the pin and squeeze the handle. Also, if you've never used an extinguisher, the noise of the expelling gas can startle you, so be prepared. You probably know the different classes of fires, but as a review, let's look at them again. First, there's Class A fires. Generally, they have glowing embers as a byproduct. A person's house on fire could be classified as a Class A fire. Wood, clothing, curtains, paper, or similar materials are considered Class A fires. Water is the extinguishing agent on Class A fires, which cools the temperatures of the fire until it's extinguished. You can see firemen using water hoses on this type of fire, since it is considered a Class A fire. Class B fires include flammable liquids and gases, such as gasoline, oil, paints, grease, acetylene, and thinners. To extinguish a Class B fire, the objective is to remove the oxygen from the fire. Carbon dioxide or CO2 extinguishing agents displace the oxygen of the fire. Here is a CO2 extinguisher in action. It puts the fire out very quickly. These extinguishers are filled with CO2, which is a non-flammable carbon dioxide gas under extreme pressure. You can recognize a CO2 extinguisher by its hard plastic or metal horn and lack of pressure gauge. The pressure in the cylinder is so great that when you use it, bits of dry ice may shoot out of the horn. CO2 extinguishes the fire by displacing oxygen or taking away the oxygen element of the fire triangle. It is a clean extinguishing agent and generally will not leave a residue on sensitive electronic or other equipment. It is also non-conductive, which means it can be used for electrical fires. CO2 may be ineffective on Class A fires as it may not displace enough oxygen to successfully put out the fire. Class C is for fires involving electricity. Motors, compressors, pumps, electrical tools, fuse boxes, appliances, and anything energized with electricity. You wouldn't want to use water on electrical fires, as the electrical shock hazard could be as damaging as the fire itself. Class D fires are those fires involving exotic metals, such as beryllium, sodium, titanium, magnesium, and other metals that can burn. Class D extinguishers smother the fire with a dry chemical to extinguish burning metals. In most cases, the most familiar type of extinguisher is the ABC type. Why is it called ABC? Primarily because this extinguisher uses a dry chemical powder that extinguishes Class A, Class B, and Class C fires. Okay, enough background. Let's get to the proper use of extinguishers. Life safety is paramount. Your life and the lives of others. Don't take chances. If you're not sure if you can extinguish a fire safely, leave the area and close the door behind you to keep the fire from spreading. Next, fully understand that smoke from any type of fire kills more people than the actual fire. If smoke is present, it's best not to try using an extinguisher. The fumes and gases of smoke are very toxic and can kill you. When fighting a fire with an extinguisher, always keep your back towards an available escape route. Next, remember the word pass. This is a reminder to pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and sweep from side to side. Let's watch some experts in action. Remove the extinguisher from its mount and take it to the fire. Pull the pin. Then aim the extinguisher nozzle towards the base of the fire, standing approximately 6 to 10 feet from the fire. Then squeeze the handle. If you stand too close to the fire and squeeze the handle, the force of the pressurized gas and extinguishing material could actually spread the flames. Stand away Aim the nozzle towards the base of the flame. Squeeze the handle, sweeping from side to side. Then move closer. You can see in this demonstration that the extinguisher was activated well before the fireman reached the fire. Then he moved in slowly, making sure not to spread the fire. After the fire is out, check to make sure it's really out. Don't leave the area until you have verified that a fire will not reignite. Many times, fires start up again after you think they're out. That's another reason for calling the fire department. Here are some of the effects of trying to extinguish the fire, but it got out of hand and the fire department was called in too late. If you are successful in extinguishing the fire department professionals can double-check to make sure it's fully extinguished, and they're happier if you already have the fire extinguished. They get real upset if you don't call them until the fire gets out of hand. Knowing and understanding classes of fires, types of extinguishing agents, and how to use fire extinguishers is extremely important. This knowledge can save your life in case of emergency. Remember that life safety is paramount. Never try to extinguish a fire where your life or the lives of others are in jeopardy. Get out and leave the firefighting to the professionals. When evacuating a building, don't use elevators, and of course, don't panic. Keep calm and put your emergency plan in action. After all, isn't that what safety's all about? That about does it for now. Remember the classes of fire and the word PASS. It can save your life in case of an emergency. Thank you.